friends, here for a reading. I'm so excited. It's been like way too long, and the summer has brought like vacations and sicknesses and family visiting, and it's just been a little, kids not being in school, it's been a little crazy. So I'm just happy to be sitting here grounded in this moment to deliver some messages for you. I hope you've been well. Hope, you guys enjoyed a day off yesterday if you had a day off, and that everybody is doing well. So let's get to it. So go ahead and ask yourself a question and just, feel into your heart and decide if you are going to be answered by one or two, or you can take both of them, however you want to do it. This is your intuition game. And when we're getting messages or when we're getting readings done, it's always important to activate our own intuition. So take a moment to kind of feel into what you feel like today and what feels like the right path for you. All right. Awesome. Okay, so I have my little notes here. My first download, my first message is, it felt like to focus on small wins. So it looks like you are in a stage of like climbing or kind of reaching somewhere or getting somewhere. And maybe there was like, I don't know if it was a lot of movement, but almost like messy movement, almost like instead of going down a straight path, you were probably like zigzagging a little bit. And now it looks like you're about to go down like a pretty straight path, which is nice. But it's going to be maybe almost like less exciting in a way, because it is a series of like small steps, consistent steps that get you there. So there is like a need to kind of like discipline your schedule a little bit. So which is so interesting, because I know a lot of us, like, we want to flow and we want to kind of do as we feel every day. And I think that that's always a good strategy. And I think we're always like looking for kind of, should I be my feminine? Should I be my masculine? And I really believe that like it's about like seasons, So there's something about this season that you're in, if you're getting number one, that there's like a need to kind of, the way you do things, to kind of discipline it a little bit. I know that like, I don't like that word either, but it felt just kind of stick to the plan, like this is the steps, do a little bit every day. Like, don't stress out about, going super crazy pushing or feeling like I'm going to do some today and I'll do some more like 4 days from now. Like, it just felt like it just needed a little bit of consistency of these like steps that that you need to take. It felt so minimal. It almost felt like 2 solid hours or something of these like steps each day that bring you to this place that you're going. It almost felt like rowing, like rowing is just like, okay, it's just like I'm consistently like you don't go fast then go slow, like you're just kind of in a consistent row. That's what this felt like. I got very strongly stick to the plan. So I feel like some of you might kind of be like, oh, that was for me. It just felt like perhaps you may be doubting a plan that you had before, and you're wondering like, should I maybe do it this way or something? And this was just very much like, it felt like I was trying to get my mind focused and like stick to the plan. So there was like an amount of focus, but it felt very soft. Like it did not feel like hustle or push or anything. It just, again, small steps, small things add up is what I was getting. I put small steps add up, small savings add up, small change in behavior adds up. It kind of reminds me of like, that saying that like when a guy is trying to lose weight, they'll just like stop drinking Coke or something or soda, and all of a sudden they lose like 20 pounds. It's like this one little like they keep eating all the bad stuff, but there's like one change in behavior that changes a lot. And that's what this felt like. Like there may be a lot of things that we want to change and a lot of things that we want to work on, but it felt like to kind of just celebrate the small changes in behavior, and that it doesn't have to be, and sometimes you change like one piece of behavior and it changes a lot of other things in our lives. So it felt just kind of like focusing on one thing, starting small, doing a little bit every day. There's also like a money thing here too. It felt that, it just felt like that this maybe is not a time to put goals for like huge chunks of money, but I saw like it was more of a good time to set the intention for consistency. So like consistency of money and focusing more of your attention on like consistency, rather than maybe like, I don't know, big money chunk goals is kind of what it felt like. Oh, and then overall, like this was also a message about like excuse me, the highest path right now is the path of balance. So that's why I was saying, like, you know how we kind of get into this place, should I be masculine? Should I be feminine? Like right now, the season is about like a balance of the two. So, and there's seasons that there's like a very masculine season for us. There's seasons that's like this, I'm in a very feminine season, let's say. But if you're choosing one, it just felt like to just kind of forget about whether you're masculine, like what team you're on. It was really about like the season of balance. So it felt very like the opposite of chaos. You know, it felt just very much like sticking to the plan, doing a little bit, being very balanced in the way I think, or in the way that I do, and that these efforts add up to like whatever it is that you're asking about. Like this is what gets you to where you're trying to get to. Okay, awesome. All right, so number 2. Okay, 2 was about exchange. So it felt to me like there needs to be a look, kind of like an audit of the exchange of energy, or the exchange of like whatever you're exchanging. It felt like almost there was like almost like you have to renegotiate the give and exchange. So like something has changed for you, or the way like the way you're giving and receiving right now, like no longer works. It looks like things have changed maybe in the relationship. Perhaps let's say like you're a business owner, right? And you used to always charge $100 for like your service, and now you're realizing that it's just like the exchange doesn't feel good. So it may not even be to like charge more, but it could be like, well, I'm no longer offering all of this. So it felt to me that it's not about like adding more necessarily to get more from the exchange, but to actually take away from some of what you're doing. It also felt like one thing I was getting here, which is interesting, was like it felt like whoever was asking this question is trying to tap into their own intuition, like trying to get to kind of live more connected to their soul and like more connected to their own intuition. But there's not a good exchange, like almost like in order to be able to be a vessel and to receive so much, there has to be a good balance of what you're receiving. So for example, if I'm super busy, if I'm super stressed, if I'm eating poorly, like I can't receive, I can't download messages. So taking care of myself, watching, how much time I give to myself and all that stuff is what allows me to be able to receive those messages. So it felt to me like that was like something very specific, but it felt like if you're trying to live more intuitively or more soul-led, to really ask yourself, like, how much are you giving to yourself? So like, how much are you nurturing yourself to able to get what you want from yourself? It's kind of like an athlete, right? Like, if I'm trying to reach some goals or run whatever athletes do, I'm probably like eating a certain way, and I'm probably resting a certain way. And that's what makes me be a good athlete. So it felt like whatever you're asking of yourself, perhaps you may not be giving yourself enough of like what it needs to be able to perform. There's also like, if this doesn't make sense to you at all, there could be, there's an opportunity to like understand your worth a little bit more, to like, again, take an audit of like how much you give. It could even be as simple as like writing down all the things that you do every day and like kind of what you're giving. And, we're always in relationship with people. So maybe everything you're giving, you're not like receiving like nowhere near enough based off what you're giving. And it's not that you may have to ask for more from others, like, or have expectations from others, but you also may find that like, maybe you're like an overachiever, an overgiver, and nobody's really asking for that much. Like maybe you can give your 50% to whatever like you're meant to be giving to. And maybe that's like more than enough for people. So it's also a little bit of like toning it down, that you may be like overextending yourself for no reason, like that it's not necessary. So there needs to be like a look at the energy exchange, because there's something that is not, I don't know, I almost feel like you're spinning your wheels by giving this much. And it feels like almost like if you would slow down, be like, oh, okay, well, this person's only giving 30% and I'm giving 90%. So I really should just like tone it down and also give 30%. It makes me feel like, first of all, like it leaves room for kind of like surprises to happen. But it also looks like you go into like more quality rather than quantity. And you're almost able to grow something in a bigger way than if you were like spreading yourself too thin. So there's something about this. I almost feel like you don't, like you can't even see what would happen, because it's like you don't function that way. You won't even be able to see what would happen if you would tone it. Like you would be so surprised about like how much you receive when you tone down how much you give. Which I know sounds silly, because usually we're like, oh, the more you give, the more you receive, but not if the containers in which we're giving to, like not if the containers can't carry that much. So like, you know, when you're in a relationship and you want to give them everything you got, but that container, that person, that relationship, that environment may not have the capacity to carry as much as you're able to give. So it's kind of like also like if you're like a practitioner and you find yourself like giving so much like in these one-on-one sessions, and realizing that like your one-on-one client like can't handle it. It's like too much. Like if they think they're actually overwhelmed by you, it's usually a sign to go into group offerings so that a group can take like sprinkles of you, rather than one person being like the person that takes it all and can't receive it all. So you may want to give a lot, but the container that you're giving to may not have the capacity to carry it at the moment. So, yeah. I could say so much about that. But anyways, hope that was helpful. I love you guys. I'm happy to be back. And let me know what resonated and kind of where you're at. And let me know how you're doing.